Hi, I'm Doug Folks. I ride mountain bikes and I am the old man in baggies. I am what you would classically refer to as a weekend warrior. I've just had my 60th birthday and I realised that I need help. I need assistance, pedal assistance. I have never ridden an e-bike in my life, but that is all about to change. You see, I have got, like you if you're in a similar situation, lots of questions, and it is my quest to find out the answers to those questions. Over the coming year, I'm going to be riding a whole bunch of e-bikes, right across the spectrum. And I'm going to let you see how I get on in a series of short monthly shows. Now, this is not a bike review channel. This is more of a personal quest to ride more trails, to have some fun, and to meet lots of like-minded people, and to let you know what I found out along the way. As a complete novice, in this first show, I've only got two questions. How much assistance is pedal assistance, and does an e-bike ride like an analog bike? If you're along for the ride, let's jump in. I'm very excited today because I've been invited down to Flandria Cycles in Stellenbosch to see my old friend Leonardo, and I think he's got something quite special in store for me. Nice to see you again, Leonardo.
Nice to see you, Doug.
So I'm very excited. This
Yes.
is the first e-bike that I've been on. You've been kind enough to arrange it through Giant for me. Can you just maybe talk me through the main bits?
Yeah, sure thing. So Doug, first of all, the bike that you're going to ride is the Giant Stance E2. It's the new 2022 model. So it's got an upgrade on the battery pack system. So it's now got a 625 watt battery pack compared to the older one that was a 500 watt battery pack. That'll allow you more distance. Doesn't give you more power when you ride. It just allows you to go further and have more fun with the bike.
So Leonardo spent a good 20 minutes taking me through the Giant Stance E, from how to turn it on and access the bike computer, to the 5 levels of assistance, charging the battery, right the way through to the comprehensive ride control app, where you can easily track your rides and fine-tune the various power modes. I'll leave links to dedicated videos on these aspects of the bikes in the description below. And so, the adventure has begun. After visiting Irma for the obligatory bike fit, and believe me, this is one of the most important parts of any mountain biker's setup, we were out on the trails for the very first time. So I've just come off my first ride, proper ride on the e-bike, where I was going flat out. I didn't use the top level of assistance, but I rode a very regular ride that I do on my analog bike. It's 20 kilometers, it takes just about an hour. It's like a little bit of tar to go out. We've got a nice technical climb and then a nice flowing single track and tarmac back. It takes me normally just over an hour, around 17, 18 kilometers an hour, and today I just blitzed it in 25 kilometers an hour, so 45 minutes. Heart rate is still high, still working, but it's a whole different ball game. It's hard to understand and put into words how much assistance there is, even in the lower gears, but I mean, they're blasting it in a high level of assistance. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. In fact, I had to tone it down on on the uphill bit on the switchbacks, because it was just pushing me into the switchbacks a little bit too quickly. Going downhill, it's still a heavy bike, you know, even with the assistance. So for someone like myself who's not physically that strong, and I'm used to moving a 13 kilogram carbon bike around, there's definitely certain skill sets to be had there. But anyway, there's my opening thoughts. Really enjoyed it, a lot to learn. Well, that was my third ride on the e-bike. Thoughts? I like it. It's getting a lot better. It's getting more like the bike I ride rather than the bike I've borrowed. Whereas before it's really been about, for me, the extra weight which you can feel when you're on the flats and the downhills and doing technical stuff. Today it wasn't as bad, and certainly the extra travel. This has got 150 up front, 150 mil as opposed to the 120 that my Titan has got. It makes up for the extra weight. You tend to roll over a lot more stuff, a lot easier. The other thing I'm starting to understand is when I'm riding with Charles, who's my mate, and we've been riding for 5 years together, I'm very, very aware that he's on an analog bike, and I don't want to upset him or just not respect the fact that he's working harder than I am. So for this ride, I basically was in the second level of assistance on the Giant. There's 5 levels, and that basically gave me a good workout, but nowhere near as intense on the uphill stuff, on the technical switchbacks. I pointed out earlier that this is not a bike review channel, but let's talk a little bit about the Giant Stance E2. It's an aluminium full suspension bike, and it's got a Yamaha sync drive 70 Newton meters motor and a 625 watt-hour battery. It weighs about 22-23 kilograms. I didn't actually put it on the scale, and it comes with Shimano components. It costs in South Africa around 83,000 Rand. So who is this bike for? Who's going to be riding this bike? Well, for me, I suppose if you're a keen, competent rider who likes technical single-track riding and you want a full suspension e-bike, then there's plenty to get excited about with the Giant. The components are good. They're Shimano. They're not the top-level Shimano, but they certainly tick the boxes for this level of bike. I found that the motor works really, really well. It delivers plenty of assistance, and the bigger battery in this model means that for medium to long rides you're not going to have to worry too much about battery usage, which only adds to the fun, of course, because you can just ride more trails in the same time. So here's the thing. I just climbed up Loislang, which is a hard couple of kilometers, technical uphill switchbacks. I like to climb, but I don't have massively strong legs, so that's where I'm really struggling. My heart rate's up, that will come down, but also my legs are buggered. Whereas today, I made my excuses and apologies to Charles. I clicked it up into the 4th level of assistance and just flew up here. I'm still at over 85% of heart rate, so I've been working hard, but my legs are nowhere near as tired. In fact, they seem fresh. So I think that's a huge takeaway that I didn't even think about actually. Anyway, but just look at this view. I mean, this is the Valfen Pass wild boar trails, and yeah, it's just stunning. Quiet, perfect day to be out on an e-bike.
So what was amazing about the Giant Stance? Well, it certainly stands out. It's a very bright colour and it looks great. There's definitely plenty of power and lots of battery life. And I do like the fact that it's got 5 levels of assistance. I think all in all this bike is excellent value for money. You're definitely getting a lot of bike for your buck. And for me as a first time e-biker, it was very, very easy and very straightforward to use. So without wishing to state the obvious, this is a big and it's a heavy bike. Now you won't notice the extra weight on the flats or on the uphills because of course you've got that motor to help you along, but on the technical descents you will need to ride within yourself initially. That extra weight and the extra speed that you're hitting everything is going to be a little bit different than your normal analog bike. And if you ride a lot in the countryside and you've got to lift the bike over fences and farm gates, well, good luck. And so let's get back to my first 2 questions. How much assistance is pedal assistance? So from a complete e-bike novice, I was absolutely blown away. It's one thing to pedal your mate's e-bike around the car park or on the front lawn, but it's only when you get out on the trails and regularly start riding the bikes that you actually realize just how much help you can count on. Steep climbs just become easy gradients, which only means that you can ride more trails in the same time. Does an e-bike ride like an analog bike? Well, when the motor is helping you, pretty much yes. But when you stop pedaling and you want to attack the descents, you do notice that extra 10 kilograms of weight. Obviously, the added suspension and bigger brakes help keep you safe, but it is something that you'll need to get used to. So that's pretty much the end of the first show. I hope it's helped in some small way by answering a few very simple and basic e-bike questions from a very simple and basic e-biker. Hopefully in the months to come, my questions will get a little bit more involved. If there's anything you want to know, then please let me know in the comments below. And of course, please share this video with any fellow mountain bikers that you know that are thinking of changing from analog to e-bike. I'd like to say a massive thank you to Flandria Cycles and of course Giant for arranging this ride. It was a huge amount of fun and something that really opened my eyes in more ways than one to a whole new side of mountain biking, a side that I'm looking forward to sharing with you in the coming months. Next month I'm going to be riding a Bianchi hardtail e-bike. So one of the questions there is, how will one of the oldest and most established bicycle brands, synonymous with racing, get on in the woods and trails of Wellington, South Africa? Until then, it's the Oldmaninbaggies telling you to ride more trails.